so many technical things you have to do. It's ridiculous. Okay. I think we're good. Okay, we are good. Now, I want to share this out a little bit more because a lot of times people don't know if I'm going to do my Bible study, so they don't automatically show up. So I have to remind them that yes, I am indeed doing Bible study. You know what I mean? All right. Got that shared out to a few people. We're in Leviticus 20 today. How many more chapters do we have to go? I don't know about you, but Leviticus bores me.
Oh, it's so boring. It's like, and then you must take the rod of the rod of the rod and put it on the other rod. So it feels like just...
And it must be of silver, and this must be of gold, and you must butcher, slaughter, whatever, one lamb unblemished, and the other lamb shall be burnt on the fire. Whatever, shut up. But,
and then you cannot take a stick off a tree and call it a branch. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. I always like to give it a few minutes. I know Christina Carroll's live, so we've got amazing competition. But I like to give it a few minutes because my Bible study people straggle in. If you guys can keep tapping the screen, and I know there's only 5 of you, but if we could like maybe get up to 1,000, if you have a coin and you can send up a heart me, that is always going to help. But also make sure you collect the points after you send the items because that boosts us in the team rankings, which boosts us out into the algorithm. I guess what we're going to be going over today is penalties for violations of holiness. I'm really hoping that Rabbi Bert or Rabbi Hannah can join us. If not, I do have the Tanakh here, and I have my iPad, so we can Google stuff if we want to look up more details. I like to do that. I like to know why a certain number. I like to know why pomegranates, or whatever. Hey, Hannah, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, Hannah. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen her in a while.
Good to see everybody this morning. Yeah, I think a lot of people agree about that, country. But don't use caps in my chat, please, because that's reserved for my mods, so I can see if they have something important to tell me quickly. Well, thank you. We love seeing all of you guys too. You have no idea. It really brightens up my day seeing everybody in chat. I love seeing everybody on TikTok. You guys are my fam. I don't know what I'd do without you. Well, we're going to go ahead and get to reading. If you'll keep tapping, sharing, liking, do all the stuff. Heart me's, send a rose. I think we'll get some more people in here. Brianna, make sure as I end each paragraph, if you have any questions or anything you want me to look up, let me know because that's how we learn the new stuff, right?
Okay.
All right. The Lord spoke to Moses saying, say further to the people of Israel. I think that I pointed this out before, but in case I haven't, all of the book of Leviticus so far is what God has said to Moses, and I just want to know who was writing this all down when God was saying this to Moses, or did he remember verbatim every single thing God said? Because this is a lot. I have trouble remembering 3 items at the grocery store. How Moses remembered every single one of these things, I will never know.
Well, and when the tablets are written on the the 10 Commandments, I think that's the only time they talk about being written. And if I remember right, it says he wrote them, that Moses wrote them. So that's kind of like, I don't know if I remember correctly or not, but could Moses write, and did he write them down?
I don't know. Any of the people of Israel or of the aliens who reside in oh wait, no wonder I can't see. I don't even have a light on over here. Okay, sorry. Any of the people of Israel or of the aliens who reside in Israel who give any of their offspring to Molech shall be put to death. The people of the land shall the people of the land shall stone them to death. I myself will set my face against them and will cut them off from the people, because they have given of their offspring to Molech, defiling my sanctuary and profaning my holy name. And if the people of the land should ever close their eyes to them when they give of their offspring to Molech and do not put them to death, I myself will set my face against them and against their family, and will cut them off from among their people, them and all who follow them in prostituting themselves to Molech. Now this one I would like to look up, because if I'm not mistaken, Molech is not a god.
Right. He's not a god, but were they giving the children up for sacrifice, or just giving them as like basically they're being adopted into that?
Let me look here. In Leviticus chapter 20, verses 1 through 5, the Bible talks about Molech as if it is a god. Is it true that that was not a god, but actually a type of sacrifice? And also, what does it mean that they were giving their children? Were they actually sacrificing them? Or were they sanctifying them? What are we talking about? Yes, I'm using ChatGPT.
Good job. Hey, as long as you can.
It's just faster.
Yeah, and as long as you go to the sources and see if they're halfway decent.
Exactly. Okay, some scholars argue it referred to a Canaanite or Ammonite deity like Chemosh or Milcom associated with child sacrifice. Others suggest it wasn't a god per se, but a type of sacrificial practice, particularly a form of child sacrifice where children were passed through the fire. The word itself looks like a play on words. The consonants are like Melech, king, but with the vowels of Boshet, shame. So it might mean shameful king, mocking either a god or a ritual. Let's look in the Jewish study Bible. And we're in 20. Okay. Okay. A single speech is introduced, verse 1, and divided into 4 parts. Penalty for Molech worship, exhortation, a series of prescribed penalties for sexual and other crimes, exhortation, 2 appendices dealing with conjuring up the spirits of the dead have been placed at the conclusion of the sections, and respectively, sacrifice to Molech and sexual crimes were treated at length in chapter 18 as direct commands. Do not uncover the nakedness of. While here they are phrased conditionally. If a man commits such and such, he shall suffer such and such punishment. Many commentators have therefore assumed that this chapter provides the punishments for the crimes given in chapter 18. But this is unlikely for many reasons. Several of the acts prohibited in chapter 18 are missing intercourse with one's mother, granddaughter, half-sister, step-granddaughter, and wife's sister. Conversely, this chapter mentions crimes not included in chapter 18, cursing one's parents and consulting spirits. Even some of the parallels are not exact. 20:14, 17, 18 do not quite correspond to the commands in 18:19, 17:19. Furthermore, according to 18:29, all the crimes enumerated are punished by karet, whereas as this chapter mentions karet in a few cases only, the prescribed capital punishment in others. Finally, the very existence of 2 separate chapters devoted to one theme with an entire chapter standing between them indicates that the 2 chapters were composed separately. The compilers of H, in their endeavor to include as much legislation as possible, preserved and included overlapping. This is not really answering my question. I want to know about Molech. Let me go and see. I'd like to refine this a little.
Try what? If you said who, try what is Molech? Oh, there you have an answer in the chat.
Molech is the first idol Yashar sacrificed their children to. Okay, but there's no sources for what that person says. I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's true.
People's thing. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I know this is riveting, but I want to know because I've heard so many things about it.
While you're doing that, I will just remind people, because we want more people in here, please tap away, share, especially if you have other people in the deconstruction community you know who would appreciate this, let them know. And then we can try and figure out this Leviticus, which can be very confusing and often contradicts itself. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Many scholars today argue that Molech, which is MLK in Hebrew, was originally a type of offering, not the name of a god. This idea goes back to Otto Eisfeld, 1935, who noted that Punic inscriptions from Carthage describe Molech sacrifice, often involving children or animals. According to this view, Leviticus isn't forbidding worship of a rival god, but a specific form of child sacrifice ritual known in the region. Some even think the biblical writers later reinterpreted Molech as a deity to make the prohibition clearer. The rabbinic tradition says, Talmud, Sanhedrin 64a through 64b, describes Molech worship as a ritual where parents pass their children through fire between two pyres. Some sources say it wasn't always killing, but a terrifying ordeal that might sometimes end in death. Rashi, 11th century rabbi, says it was a form of idolatry involving fire, not necessarily full emulsion, but still considered as handing children over to another god. And I am going to butcher this name. Maimonides, 12th century, insisted it was literal child sacrifice, one of the most abhorrent practices of the Canaanites. So in Judaism, the consensus became Molech was tied to idolatry and fire rituals with children, whether symbolic, passing through, or actual killing. So I don't believe that we can say there is a 100% consensus.
Right.
I think that many people believe that Molech was an actual deity, and others believe it was a type of sacrifice. And I don't know, if we'll know. Okay.
Well, it's interesting because, it's another one. Why doesn't it just say, don't practice sacrificial rituals with your children? Whether
right?
it's...
Just like
Why doesn't it just say that? Because this is only one type they're talking about. They're not talking about any kind. They're just saying, this one don't do.
Because I frankly think that's a good point. I'm sorry. I frankly think that's a good point. I think it's because he didn't care if he did child sacrifices. He just wanted them to him.
Oh, wow.
If any turn to mediums and wizards, prostituting themselves to them, I will set my face against them and will cut them off from the people. Consecrate yourselves, therefore, and be holy, for I am the Lord your God. Keep my statutes and observe them. I am the Lord. I sanctify you. All who curse father or mother shall be put to death. Having cursed father or mother, their blood is upon them. Okay, I've got more questions. Man,
And that one, what I've heard before is that it's not that they didn't believe that mediums and stuff could actually predict the future. They just believe you should only turn to God for that.
Right. Because, I mean, let's face it, is it Samuel or somewhere, they do turn to a medium, right?
Mm-hmm. Multiple times in the Bible, both Old and New Testament, they turn to, what would you call it? Not just mediums, but,
like necromancy and stuff.
Right.
Because they go talk to the dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know more about verses 6 through 10.
It was basically you should trust God for your future, so you shouldn't have to go to a medium to figure out what you should do for your future.
Okay. Okay, I'm just looking at verses 6 through 10. In the ancient Near East, people often consulted necromancers, mediums, and diviners for guidance. I don't know why my brain wanted to say diviners. Diviners for guidance. Israelite religion strongly rejected this, seeing it as reliance on powers other than Yahweh, just like what you were saying. Similar bans appear in Deuteronomy 18, 9 through 12, and Isaiah 8, 19. 7 and 8, this section reinforces the core idea of Leviticus. Israel must be holy and distinct, not practicing foreign rites. So that's the holiness command. Verse 9, cursing parents. Ancient societies emphasized family honor and authority. To curse one's parents was a shocking breach of the household structure. The death penalty here highlights the seriousness with which family order was protected, and adultery. In the ancient Near East, adultery wasn't just private sin, it was crime against another man's household honor and lineage. Another man's, because let's make it clear.
Right.
But the man.
Well, even what they were implying about like brothers and stuff like that. If your brother's wife died, you were expected to take her in if she didn't have someone, because she was now a part of your family.
Yeah, it's gross.
Because women couldn't work. They couldn't do anything. They had to just...
That's not true. Women could work. Women could work, because we got to remember Proverbs 31.
I couldn't get paid for work. Sorry. Couldn't get paid for.
She could own a business, according to Proverbs 31. Remember? She owns her own business. She sells her own wares.
Oh, that's right.
And she buys property. So that myth that women couldn't work is just the patriarchy still trying to hold us down, Brianna.
Crazy.
Okay? It's not true, okay? We could work. We could own our own business. We could own our own land. But we also had to serve our husband all day while we did that. Let's not forget that part, okay? That's why the law requires both the man and women to be punished, unlike some patriarchal cultures where only the women bore the penalty. The text describes death penalties for 3 offenses: consulting mediums and necromancers, cursing father or mother, and committing adultery. The phrase, their blood is upon them, means they are fully responsible for their own death. They brought this upon themselves. Here's some rabbinical interpretations. The Talmud in Sanhedrin 65a-65b distinguishes between a necromancer who speaks from their armpit or mouth, and a Yedonite, Yiddeoni, who uses a bone to channel spirits. Both are punishable by stoning. Rabbis see this as idolatry and impurity because it denies reliance on God, just like you were talking about earlier. Cursing parents. Mishnah Sanhedrin 7:7 specifies that the death penalty applies only if one curses parents using God's name. Insulting parents is still sinful, but not capital.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I think I have. I'm sorry, but I think
No, you're fine.
I might get the death penalty on that one because I've done that before.
Me too. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Rashi emphasizes the gravity of dishonoring parents as parallel to dishonoring God, since parents are co-creators with God in giving life. Adultery. Talmud Sanhedrin 52b, Sota 7a. Both guilty parties must have been warned and witnessed in the act to be executed. By the way, that's one thing that I love that Rabbi Hannah brings up, that these things had to be witnessed.
Wow.
So you know, you couldn't just be like, I think they're having an affair. Somebody had to actually see them doing the deed. Okay. Rabbis also distinguish between adultery, sex with married women, versus fornication, premarital sex, which had lesser penalties.
Right.
Maimonides, I cannot say that name, stresses that adultery endangered family inheritance, so it was treated as a societal threat, not just a private sin. Well, that's a good point, because it does. Like, we know that there are women who have spent their life devoted to a man, raising the kids, taking care of the family, putting her own career on hold, not getting her education, and then the guy goes and finds a younger woman and leaves that woman high and dry. And yeah, everything she invested in that family and in that man should be protected. I have to say, you know?
I agree.
Okay.
And this is one of the few times when you hear where they really do protect women in that sense.
Yeah.
Because usually it's like, well, she got raped and oh well, you know,
Yeah,
you must marry the
exactly.
person now. So it's good they put that in there.
Historically, these verses banned practices that threaten Israelite distinctiveness, necromancy, Molech rites, and reinforce social order, family authority, marital fidelity. Literally, they prescribed capital punishment for mediums, cursing parents, and adultery. Rabbinically, the rabbis narrowed and defined these laws so that actual executions were nearly impossible. But the moral lesson, honor parents, avoid adultery, trust God, not spirits, were strongly emphasized. Okay.
Well, and I still think that I've always have a problem with anytime it says you must honor, you must obey your parents. Because what if your parents aren't good people?
Right. And mine were not, and I refused
mine
to
too.
honor them. So no, I'm not going to honor you if you're a piece of shit. Okay? I don't care if you are my parent.
Exactly.
I always hated when I was a kid when people would say blood is thicker than water. Like, I always thought, God, that's just so stupid. But
Well, you do know the poem that came from is actually talking about how blood rights, as in like becoming a blood brother or a blood sister, is stronger.
You cut out for a second.
It's actually saying the family I
Can you repeat
choose
that?
is stronger than the family I was born into.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But people took it and they've rewritten it and used
Because
it
they
for
don't say
incorrect.
the full thing. The full thing is
Yep.
blood. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Meaning,
Thank
if we
you.
are blood brothers by choice, then that bond is thicker than if we were born from the same mother. And they don't
Right.
ever say that. But I always hated that saying. Like, I'm not, as a smart ass little kid, I used to say, so is maple syrup. What is your point? Lots of things are
That's
thicker
great.
than water. I never really got that. But that's because they were never quoting the full thing. Okay.
Right.
Let's talk about adultery. Okay, shall we?
Why not?
if a man commits adultery with the wife of, and let's see, I have a little notation, repeats, if a man commits adultery with the wife of. Why does it repeat? I wonder. Okay, anyway. If a man commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death. The man who lies with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall be put to death. Their blood is upon them. If a man lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall be put to death. They have committed perversions. Their blood is upon them. If a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall be put to death. Their blood is upon them. If a man takes a wife and her mother also, it is depravity. They shall be burned to death, both he and they, that there may be no depravity among you. If a man has sexual relations with an animal, he shall be put to death. And I feel like I read this, but this repeats
it's
itself
similar.
so much. Okay, because it does, like these books repeat themselves sometimes, and then I can't tell if I'm reading the same thing or if it's another chapter. I'm going to keep going though. I'm going to bring pumpkin buns up, but I don't know pumpkin buns, so. But they're not loading.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Hey, pumpkin buns, how are you? Okay, it must have been a mistake. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to keep going, but gosh, this is just so familiar. Okay. Let's see, we were talking about animals. If a man digs, okay, he shall be put to death, and you shall kill the animal. If a woman approaches any animal and has sexual relations with it, you shall kill the woman and the animal. They shall be put to death. Their blood is upon them. Now, the reason why I felt like I read this before, but like we have said, these things repeat themselves, and after a while I can't tell if I'm repeating chapters or if they just have repeated themselves again. In my Discord, I will try to remember to put, I think I might have put it already, but if I didn't, I will. Bert has a whole thing about this word abomination here.
Ooh, good.
Hang on. I think I could pull it up real quick for us. I think I can do that. Let me find Bert real quick.
Nice. Yeah, because what does that mean? Like, seems like such a heavy, strong word.
All right. Oh, he even told me where to look, I think. Page 48. All right, I need to go to page 48. Sorry. All right. Come on, let me read it. One of the hallmarks of contemporary Reconstructionist Judaism is the acceptance of celebration of gays and lesbians as full members of the Jewish community. Yet one of the major obstacles to complete integration is that while our moral attitudes may develop over time, leading to different decisions regarding status and ritual access, our primary sacred texts remain the same. It is then up to the reader text interaction, the interpretation, to redeem and reconstruct these texts whose actual words are immutable. New reading strategies are necessary to deal with and understand these texts. The core difficult texts regarding gays and lesbians in the Jewish community are in the Torah. In Leviticus, homosexual sex is labeled as tova, an abomination. This has led to a chain of interpretive tradition that has banned gay and lesbian coupling and relationships, and by extension, full participation by gays and lesbians in the Jewish community. But perhaps the way to re-examine these texts is not to look forward, but to look back. not to redirect the stream of traditional interpretation, but to take another look at its sources, the Tanakh itself. By the way, I'm reading Tova, Biblical Scholarship and Difficult Texts by Seth Goldstein. Fluid text. The development of biblical text was fluid, and text can be read as reactions to and adaptations of other texts. The narrative text, the legal codes, the historical accounts, the prophetic books, and the wisdom literature all reflect each other, some in the original creation and others in their final redaction. It is sometimes possible to see this fluidity in action, and the meaning of the word tova is a good example. Through a close examination of this term, usually translated as abomination or abhorrence, throughout biblical literature, one can see continual reinterpretation, evidence of textual interaction of the complexity of the biblical redaction. To understand fully the word tova, it is necessary to look at its usage throughout the entirety of the biblical literature. Tova appears in scattered references throughout the Bible, but predominantly in 3 books, Deuteronomy, Ezekiel, and Proverbs. Outside of the 2 instances where tova appears as a ban on male coupling, the word appears only in 2 other places in Leviticus. Looking beyond Leviticus to the entirety of uses in biblical literature reveals nuances about the word's meaning that have implications for how it can be understood today. This is really long, so I'm not going to keep reading it. I'm going to make sure this is put in the Discord. But the bottom line is that let me put it. Let me read a synopsis better. Its read is to detest or abhor. In the Hebrew Bible, tova appears 116 times. It is not a universal moral evil, but something that leads Israel astray. And so, first of all, if you listen to Rabbi Hannah, she's going to explain to you that in these verses, when it says a male shall not lie, a man shall not lie with a male as he does with a woman, the word there is mishkaveh, which means to like force, to forcibly pin somebody down. So we would call that grape, you know? And then to say that man lying with man is an abomination, it's not the same moral evil that people are putting on it, is what the rabbinical teaching is saying, you know? It is more that it leads Israel astray. Most biblical scholars agree that tova means ritual, taboo, or a detestable practice, not necessarily an absolute moral abomination. That was the point I want to get to, but I will put that paper in the Discord, in my Discord, the link's in my bio, and the Deconstruction Junction in my channel. I'll try to
All right,
remember to do that a
Crystal,
little bit later.
I have to drop down to the comments now, but so I can finish eating. But I will.
Okay.
That was so good. I really appreciated hanging out.
Okay, well, if anybody else would like to come up and join me, I hate sitting up here alone. Grana, thank you as always. I love you. I hope you have a great day. And by the way, we missed you Sunday. We had Decon Q&A with CrystalJae and Mama Bash. And yeah, we were asking about you, but I think that you had to do something a little church related, and that's okay, but we did miss you. Hey Annie, how are you? So if you are a non-believer and you want to come up and hang out with me while we read the Bible this morning, I would very much appreciate that. But yeah, I am in chapter 20. We are verse 17 now. All right, ready? Here we go. If a man takes his sister, a daughter of his father or a daughter of his mother, and sees her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, It is a disgrace. And they shall be cut off in the sight of the people. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness. He shall be subject to punishment. That's so vague. He shall be subject to punishment? That's really vague, right? If a man lies with a woman having her sickness and uncovers her nakedness, he has laid bare her flow, and she has laid bare her flow of blood. Both of them shall be cut off from the people. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister or of your father's sister, for that is to lay bare one's own flesh. They shall be subject to punishment. If a man lies with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness. They shall be subject to punishment. They shall be childless. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is impurity. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless. I'm doing good. Did you like that singing? I have such a lovely voice. Babies are dying of cancer and there's tornadoes ripping from here and there. And thank God we got free will to love the Lord. Okay, you guys, the bloopers on that, I really should post that because they were hilarious. So one thing I just noticed about that paragraph, if you notice, it's man shall not do this, man shall not do that, man. Because women just did not have any consent about anything. You shall keep all my statutes and all my ordinances and observe them, so that the land to which I bring you to settle in may not vomit you out. You shall not follow the practices of the nation that I am driving out before you, because they did all these things, I abhorred them. But I have said to you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it to you to possess, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God. I have separated you from the peoples. You shall therefore make a distinction between the clean animal and the unclean, and between the unclean bird and the clean. You shall not bring abomination on yourself by animal or by bird or by anything with which the ground teems, which I have set apart for you to hold unclean. You shall be holy to me, for I am the Lord. I am holy. I have separated you from the other peoples to be mine. A man or a woman who is a medium or a wizard shall be put to death. They shall be stoned to death. Their blood is upon them. That's such a random way to just end that. You know, like, just kill those guys. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Keep tapping the screen. If you have roses, I'd love it if you'd send some roses up. I'm trying to just get to 666 today while we do the Bible study. Also, don't forget to send the heart me's and the populars and stuff. Oh, yay! I'm so happy. Aaron's here. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, did I ask to join?
Yes.
Oh, well, I really can't join.
Okay.
I'm multitasking and I was tapping your screen just
Oh.
ferociously in my other hand to give you hearts. And I guess I must have tapped the request up.
I've done that before. Well, thank you for coming up and thank you for tapping. I love you and you know you're always welcome.
I love you and I'm listening. I'm just multitasking. So
Okay.
that's why I can't really be up right now. But
No
I'll
problem.
see you later.
I'll drop you down. All right.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you later. All right. Okay. The holiness of priests. The Lord says to Moses, speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, no one shall defile himself for a dead person among his relatives, except for the nearest kin, his mother, his father, his son, his daughter, his brother, likewise for a virgin sister, close to him, because she has no husband, he may defile himself for her. What? Wait, I don't even understand what this is talking about, so now I need an explanation. Please explain Leviticus 21 verses 1 through 3 to me. I don't understand them, and give me rabbinical teachings as well. Leviticus. What? I don't get that. Likewise, for a virgin sister close to him, because she has had no husband, he may defile himself for her. Okay, let's see. Priests had stricter purity rules than regular Israelites because they served in the sanctuary, contact with corpse. I want you guys to keep in mind that supposedly priests are like your purists, right? They're your leaders. They're supposed to have a stricter purity, than regular Israelites. And they could own slaves. Just something to think about there for a minute. Okay. Because they served in the sanctuary. Contact with corpses caused ritual impurity, tamah, which disqualified them from temple service until purification. Normally, priests cannot defile themselves by touching or being near the dead, but there are exceptions. Priests may defile themselves, attend the funeral, and prepare the body for immediate family members, parents, children, brothers, and unmarried sisters. Okay. Oh, because if she had been married, then her husband would do. Okay, that makes sense. All right, I did not understand where it and what. Oh my God, it's just so stupid. Why do we always got to bring up whether she's a virgin or not? It's just so freaking stupid. But he shall not defile himself as a husband among his people and so profane himself. They shall not make bald spots upon their heads, or shave off the edges of their beards, or make any gashes in their flesh. They shall be holy to their God, and not profane the name of their God, for they offer the Lord's offering by fire, the food of their God. Therefore they shall be holy. They shall not marry a prostitute or a woman who has been defiled. Neither shall they marry a woman divorced from her husband, for they are holy to their God. And you shall treat them as holy. Since they offer the food of your God, they shall be holy to you. For I, the Lord, I who sanctify you, am holy. When the daughter of a priest profanes herself through prostitution, she profanes her father, she shall be burned to death. That's just so disgusting that I need to highlight it. Oh my goodness. What a book. What a book. No, but, burning women alive for the sake of holiness. I would find it much more holy if this God would say, you will forgive her and love her and tell her she's a good person. You will provide for her so she never feels the need to prostitute herself again. Okay. The priest who is exalted above his fellows, on whose head the anointing oil has been poured, and who has been consecrated to wear the vestments, shall not dishevel his hair nor tear his vestments. He shall not go where there is a dead body. He shall not defile himself even for his father or mother. He shall not go outside the sanctuary and thus profane the sanctuary of his God, for the consecration of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am the Lord. He shall marry only a woman who is a virgin, a widow or a divorced woman, or a woman who has been defiled, a prostitute. These he shall not marry. He shall marry a virgin of his own kin. Gross. That he may not profane his offspring among his kin, for I am the Lord, I sanctify him. So, it wasn't just to populate the world. When they tried to say that the incest part was only, at the beginning and then with Noah, that was in verse 21 and I was reading from 13. He shall marry only a woman who is a virgin. 14 says a widow or a divorced woman or a woman who has been defiled, a prostitute. These he shall not marry. He shall marry a virgin of his own kin. Verse 14. 21:14. That's another one I should highlight there. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and say, no one of your offspring throughout their generations who has a blemish may approach to offer the food of his God. For no one who has a blemish shall draw near, one who is blind or lame, or one who has a mutilated face or a limb too long, or one who has a broken foot or a broken hand, or a hunchback, or a dwarf, or a man with a blemish in his eyes, or an itching disease, or scabs, or crushed testicles. Did they really check each other's balls before they went in? No descendant of Aaron the priest who has a blemish shall come near to offer the Lord's offering by fire. Since he has a blemish, he shall not come near to offer the food of his God. He may eat the food of his God of the most holy as well as of the holy, but he shall not come near the curtain or approach the altar, because he has a blemish, that he may not profane my sanctuaries. For I am the Lord, I sanctify them. Thus Moses spoke to Aaron and to his sons and to all the people of Israel. Hey, Skog, how are you? So no physical problems, nothing can be wrong with you for you to be in this sanctuary, okay? Why don't we have a God that says anybody who has a blemish, who has a crushed testicle, whose hand is broken, who has dermatitis, who has, issues, come to the temple and the Spirit will heal you. But instead, it's like, no, you all eat outside, y'all are nasty. That's what I'm hearing. I'm sorry. It's disgusting. This is the God who controls everything, made you that way. This is the reason you have only one testicle, but you're not good enough for him. The use of holy offerings. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, direct Aaron and his sons to deal carefully with the sacred donations of the people of Israel, which they dedicate to me, so that they may not profane my holy name. I am the Lord. Say to them, if anyone among all your offspring throughout your generations came near the sacred donations which the people of Israel dedicated to the Lord while he is in a state of uncleanliness, that person shall be cut off from the presence. I am the Lord. No one of Aaron's offspring who has a leprous disease or suffers a discharge may eat of sacred donations until he is clean. Whoever touches anything made unclean by a corpse or a man who has had an emission of semen, and whoever touches any swarming thing by which he may be made unclean, or any human being by whom he may be made unclean, whatever his uncleanliness may be, the person who touches any such shall be unclean until evening, and shall not eat of the sacred donations unless he has washed his body in water. When the sun sets, he shall be clean, and afterward he may eat of the sacred donations, for they are his food. That which died or was torn by wild animals he shall not eat, becoming unclean by it. I am the Lord. They shall keep my charge, so that they may not incur guilt and die in the sanctuary for having profaned it. I am the Lord. I sanctify them. We're reading Leviticus today, Megan and Freya. We are reading in chapter 21. I just finished verse 9. If Sky Daddy doesn't want sick people in there, why did he? That's what I'm saying. Why not just heal them? Instead of saying, don't enter, he could have said, come on in. We're going to heal you. We're going to make you better. To me, that would be proving you are God and that you are loving and that you are sovereign. But I don't know. You know, that's just me. No layperson shall eat of the sacred donations. No bound or hired servant of the priest shall eat of the sacred donations. Remember, a bond servant is a slave, so bound servant means slave. A priest could own a slave. The holiest person could own a slave. God was cool with that, okay? But if a priest acquires anyone by purchase, the person may eat of them, and those that are born in his house may eat of his food. If a priest's daughter marries a layman, she shall not eat of the offering of the sacred donations. But if a priest's daughter is widowed or divorced without offspring and returned to her father's house, as in her youth, she may eat of her father's food. No layperson shall eat of it. If a man eats of the sacred donation unintentionally, he shall add 1/5 of its value to it and give the sacred donation to the priest. No one shall profane the sacred donations of the people of Israel, which they offer to the Lord, causing them to bear guilt, requiring a guilt offering by eating their sacred donations. For I am the Lord, I sanctify them. This again, these verses are just showing you the Bible from beginning to end is supremacy culture. That you cannot get around it. These people are allowed to eat this. You're not allowed to eat this. These people are allowed in the sanctuary. You're not allowed in the sanctuary. These rituals definitely made it so that some people felt like they were better than other people. And it continues throughout the entire book. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron and his sons and all the people of Israel, and say to them, when any one of the house of Israel or the aliens residing in Israel presents an offering, whether in payment of a vow or as a free will offering that is offered to the Lord as a burnt offering to be acceptable in your behalf, it shall be a male without blemish. Of the cattle or the sheep or the goats, you shall not offer anything that has a blemish, for it will not be acceptable in your behalf." When anyone offers a sacrifice of well-being to the Lord in fulfillment of a vow or a free will offering from the herd or from the flock to be acceptable, it must be perfect. There shall be no blemish in it. Anything blind or injured or maimed or having a discharge or an itch or scabs, these you shall not offer to the Lord or put any of them on the altar as offerings by the fire to the Lord. An ox or a lamb that has a limb too long or too short, you may present for a free will offering, but it will not be accepted for a vow. Any animal that has an offering, but it will not, any animal that has its testicles bruised. He really gives a shit about testicles. Never talks about whether, the woman, the female sheep, whether their vagina is injured or something. Like, what the hell? He's really into these testicles, so. Bruised or crushed or torn or cut off. Ouch. You shall not offer to the Lord. Such you shall not do within your land, nor shall you accept any such animals from a foreigner to offer as food to your God, since they are mutilated with a blemish in them. They shall not be accepted in your behalf. Just a quick note here. This is one of the reasons why many Jews did not believe that Jesus could be the Lamb, because he had blemishes. He was beaten. He was bruised. He was injured. And a sacrifice cannot have those. I don't know if you're still in here, atheistic preacher, but if you want to come up, I'm just doing Bible study, and friendlies are allowed up during Bible study. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, when an ox or a sheep or a goat is born, it shall remain 7 days with its mother, and from the 8th day on it shall be acceptable as the Lord's offering by fire. But you shall not slaughter from the herd or the flock an animal with its young on the same day. When you sacrifice a thanksgiving offering to the Lord, you shall sacrifice it so that it may be acceptable in your behalf. It shall be eaten on the same day. You shall not leave any of it until morning. I am the Lord. Thus you shall keep my commandments and observe them. I am the Lord. You shall not profane my holy name, and I may be sanctified among the people of Israel. I am the Lord. I sanctify you. I who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. I love it that like any chance he gets, he guilts them with, I'm the one who brought you out of Egypt. Yeah, I'm the one who freed you. I'm gonna make you feel guilty about that until the end of time. Let me see where we're at right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just do one more chapter today, and then we will finish up next week. Hey, Fenn, if you want, you can come on up. We are in Leviticus chapter 23. If you're friendly, I would love it if somebody came up and joined me this morning. Most of my team is not here this morning, and that's okay. People have lives, but because of it, I'm kind of lonely up here without a buddy. Good morning, YouTube. I didn't say good morning to you yet. Let me say hi to YouTube real quick. I'm gonna pull them up over here. When will Jesus come back? Good morning, YouTube. How are you guys? I don't think he's coming back. I don't even know if he was ever here, to be honest with you. But if he was here, I don't think he's coming back. I don't think so. I have done shows with Cyber, but I am not one of his co-hosts. We've just done some shows together. But he is a friend. Okay. Chapter 23. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, these are the appointed festivals of the Lord that you shall proclaim as holy convocations, my appointed festivals. So here we go. Here are the festivals. You all should be celebrating every single one of these, okay? The Sabbath, Passover, and unleavened bread. We know how much God hates yeast, so this is going to be important. Everybody listen up. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of complete rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work. It is a Sabbath to the Lord throughout your settlements. These are the appointed festivals of the Lord, the holy convocations, which you shall celebrate at the time appointed for them. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at twilight, there shall be a Passover offering to the Lord. And on the 15th day of the same month is a festival of unleavened bread to the Lord. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall not work at your occupations. For 7 days you shall present the Lord's offerings by fire. On the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation. You shall not work at your occupations. Okay. I don't know. That kind of sounds good to me. You know? Good morning, AC. Are you a non-believer?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. How are you today?
good. Just listening to you sing all of Joel's wonderful songs.
Did you like that?
I loved it. It was fantastic. I was like, yeah, Crystal getting down.
All the time, his songs are running through my head all the time.
They're so catchy.
They are, and some of them I'll catch myself thinking of them while I'm out in public, but I just don't think people would like it if I started singing, "It's a good kind of slavery." I don't think that would go over well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I tend to stop using them in public too because I get in trouble a lot. Like I got this nice lady. I think of her as like my mother, and she's she's a Catholic, a dedicated Catholic. And I'm just like, your book makes absolutely no sense. You're off topic.
Sometimes when I'm arguing with somebody who has nothing to do with the Bible too, I want to go, "It's all about the context."
She's like, I'm just so surprised at how many people are like out here and they're what I call highly devoted. Like they're like, oh yeah, I go every day to church, and you know
Yeah.
that used to be me, of course, but they don't know their Bible. I'm like, yeah, God totally called for the unalivement of every man, woman, and child in Amalek. And
Yeah.
they're like, God didn't do that. I'm like, you're highly devoted, you said?
Right. And okay, like we were just reading too. Every time like we talk about incest and stuff in the Bible, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, but that was just like because they had to populate the earth, at the beginning, and then after the flood." But we were just reading here in Leviticus. That's not true. In Leviticus 21:14, it's talking about priests, and it says, "He shall marry only a woman who is a virgin, a widow or a divorced woman, or a woman who has been defiled, a prostitute. These he shall not marry. He shall marry a virgin of his own kin." So they don't, like, I learn stuff all the time when I'm going through this Bible. I'm like, no, you guys, like, yeah. If you're a priest, you have to marry your own kin.
And that's crazy. Yeah, that's right, Tiny.
Right? It is just crazy. So we are in chapter 23. I'm on verse 9. You guys let me know if you have any input as I read. Feel free to interrupt, okay? The Lord spoke to Moses, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land that I am giving you and you reap its harvest, you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. He shall raise the sheaf before the Lord, and you may find acceptance on the day after the Sabbath. The priest shall raise it. On the day when you raise the sheep, you shall offer a lamb a year old without blemish as a burnt offering to the Lord. And the grain offering with it shall be 2/10 of an ephah of choice flour mixed with oil, an offering by fire, a pleasing odor to the Lord. And the drink offering with it shall be of wine 1/4 of a hin. You shall eat no bread or parched grain or fresh ears until the very day, until you have brought the offering of your God. It is a statute forever throughout your generations in all your settlements." I like to point out that all these things were supposed to be forever, and like none of them are. And not forever.
So, also, this is speaking about Canaan, correct? He's talking about the land that I have given you. He's talking about the land that he gave Abraham, correct?
I think so. Pretty sure that's
Because
what he's talking about.
as Abraham traveled from Ur, God told him to leave Ur and go to the land which I have called for you. And he goes through the land of Canaan. And when he's in the land of Canaan, God says, "Now stop here, because all that you see around you, I shall give to you one day."
Right. Let me
Before they
double check what.
came forward to Egypt.
Stuff you need to look
I think
at.
that's Genesis
Dad,
17.
Dad, there's stuff you need to look at.
Dad, there's stuff.
Gotta look at the stuff. You gotta look at it.
That's her homework from school.
When you come to the land that I give you, in context of Leviticus, it clearly points to Canaan. Yes, yeah, it is Canaan. And I have a real quick question. Why would non-believers study the Bible? Well, I study it because I live in the United States of America, and right now in several states and in on our federal level, people are trying to create laws based on this book. So it would just be completely stupid of me. I would be one of the most foolish people in the world to not know what the book is that they're writing laws for in my country.
Be like
For
if
education.
you were making laws for Harry Potter, but I never read a single book.
I also read books on Greek mythology, and I don't believe about anything about that either. So I just like education in general. I think education is important. Okay, so yes, it looks like AC, it looks like that is Canaan. At the time of the writing, the Israelites are still in the wilderness. They are being given laws for when they settle in the land.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Okay, so verse 15, the festival of weeks. And from the day after the Sabbath, from the day on which you bring the sheaf of the elevation offering, you shall count off 7 weeks. They shall be complete. You shall count until the day after the 7th Sabbath, 50 days. Then you shall present on an offering of new grain to the Lord. You shall bring from your settlements 2 loaves of bread as an elevation offering, each made of 2/10 of an ephah. They shall be of choice flour, baked with leaven, as first fruits to the Lord. You shall present with the bread 7 lambs a year old without blemish, 1 young bull and 2 rams. They shall be a burnt offering to the Lord, along with their grain offering and their drinks offerings and offerings by fire, a pleasing odor to the Lord. You shall also offer 1 male goat for a sin offering, and 2 male lambs a year old as a sacrifice of well-being. The priest shall raise them with the bread of the first fruits as an elevation offering before the Lord. Together with the 2 lambs, they shall be holy to the Lord for the priest. On the same day you shall make proclamation. You shall hold a holy convocation. You shall not work at your occupation. This is a statute forever in all your settlements throughout your generations. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and for the alien. I am the Lord your God. As a Christian, I never understood, and I understand now that there are people who think that they are Messianic Jews, right? But I didn't understand why we didn't still do these things. Like it says forever through all your generations. And if we believed in the Old Testament and Yahweh was the God of the Old Testament and the New, why we didn't do that? I didn't get it. I kind of still don't get it, but I'm not a Christian anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Well, the reason that we still don't do it is because we were lied to, right? All of the church was lied to from the beginning with Paul. Paul directly contradicts Jesus in saying that we're no longer bound to these old things. So if we had just picked up the book and read from the beginning, and then we got to Jesus and we didn't listen to what our preachers had told us and start with the New Testament only, we would have seen that Jesus was clear that we're supposed to hold all of these things forever. And we probably still would.
Yeah. True. Okay. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the people of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall observe a day of complete rest, a holy convocation, commemorated with trumpet blasts. You shall not work at your occupations, and you shall present the Lord's offering by fire. By the way, I want to know, what is an elevation offering? What made that different? Because that's what we were just talking about, and I forgot to look it up.
Did it say the elevation offering?
Yeah, in the previous verses, it was talking about an elevation offering.
I think that's the one where okay, so there was the altar, right, which you burnt things on, and then they also had a plate, and the plate was made of stone, and the priest would hold it above his head as long as the burnt offering burnt, and it was supposed to be an offering of elevation. It's lifted high, elevate. So it's lifted high for the atonement of some of it was for atonement of sin and some of it was for worship.
Gotcha. It says it symbolized a complete surrender to God. Rabbinical understanding, Rashi says it's called Ola because it goes up entirely, all of it burned, none eaten. In the Midrash, the rising smoke was seen as a pleasing aroma, a sign of reconciliation and devotion. Rabbis note that since the offerer got nothing tangible back, this sacrifice was purely for God's honor, unlike Thanksgiving or peace offerings, which involve shared meals.
A lot of people don't realize this, but they still do this in Christianity. Have you ever been in worship songs and the people will tell you raise your hands high?
Yes.
This is an elevation offering. You're giving everything in raising your hands. You're giving everything and showing ultimate worship. Yes,
I
exactly.
always did that. Yeah, I was one of those weirdos.
I was too.
AC, I feel bad that I didn't recognize you at first because I haven't seen your new PFP, and it wasn't until you started talking that I was like, oh, this is AC. But it took me a minute.
Don't feel bad. I'm trying to get a name that, like, I had one that I've always had, and I'm gonna keep AC, but the parentheses I needed to change because
Bye, Tiny.
I like I like all kinds of things, and I was like, my PFP is Naruto. Bane can be anybody from Star Wars and DC Comics, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and put them together, and I'm trying to find a good name that fits perfectly for me.
I like that. I like that you're doing that. Okay, so now I know what that is. All right, an elevation offering. Okay, we read 23 and 25. You shall not work. Okay, 26. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Now the 10th day of his 7th month is the day of atonement. It shall be." Oops, sorry. It shall be. I feel like something's on me. It shall be a holy convocation for you. You shall deny yourselves and present the Lord's offering by fire, and you shall do no work during that entire day, for it is a day of atonement to make atonement on your behalf before the Lord your God. For anyone who does not practice self-denial during that entire day shall be cut off from the people. And anyone who does any work during that entire day, such a one I will destroy from the midst of the people. You shall not do work. It is a statute forever throughout your generations in all settlements. It shall be to you a Sabbath of complete rest, and you shall deny yourselves on the 9th day of the month at evening. From evening to evening, you shall keep your Sabbath. And there we have it again. This is supposed to be for all generations. I would assume I'm one of those generations, but I guess I'm wrong. Okay, the Festival of Booths. This is crazy. Okay, the Lord said to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel." I'm sorry if you hear noise in the background. It's coffee time. Put your coffee orders in chat. My daughter's making lattes. All right. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel, saying, on the 15th day of the 7th month, and lasting 7 days, there shall be the Festival of Booths." And then I have a little notation, or tabernacles, okay? "To the Lord, the first day shall be a holy convocation. You shall not work at your occupations. 7 days you shall present the Lord's offerings by fire. On the 8th day you shall observe a holy convocation and present the Lord's offerings by fire. It is a solemn assembly. You shall not work at your occupations. These are the appointed festivals of the Lord, which you shall celebrate as times of holy convocation for presenting to the Lord offerings by fire, burnt offerings and grain offerings, sacrifices and drink offerings, each on its proper day, apart from the Sabbaths of the Lord, and apart from your gifts, and apart from all your votive offerings, and apart from all your free will offerings, which you give to the Lord. Any questions or commentary on this part so far, AC?
No, you're doing great. I think it sounds good. I think we sort of understand this part real well.
Yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward. Now, the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the produce of the land, you shall keep the festival of the Lord, lasting 7 days, a complete rest on the first day, and a complete rest on the 8th day. On the first day, you shall take the fruit of majestic trees, branches of palm trees, boughs of leafy trees, and willows of the brook. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. You shall keep it as a festival to the Lord 7 days in the year. You shall keep it. In the 7th month as a statute forever throughout your generations. You shall live in booths for 7 days. All that are citizens in Israel shall live in booths, so that your generations may know that I made the people of Israel live in booths. Your God. I want to know what's the significance of that.
I think this is a callback to their nomadic ways before the settlement, because when Jacob and his family lived, they were living in booths. So,
Ooh, that might be it. Like, that sounds reasonable. It sounds like something this God would do. Thus Moses declared to the people of Israel the appointed festivals of the Lord. Let's see what it says here. The booth is a temporary hut made of branches and palm fronds. It recalls the wilderness wanderings after the Exodus, when Israel had no permanent homes, living in fragile structures as a reenactment of the dependence of God. So it's symbolic. It is just to make them realize that they are still dependent on God. It's just stupid. It's just...
right. And what's funny is it's funny that they say it's a reenactment of what they lived like after the Exodus, when that's
Yeah.
how they lived, when that's how they lived before the Exodus. Like they lived like that
It's
before.
true. That's so dumb. That's so true. You got to do that with your 5th graders? That's cool. That is just so dumb. Well, you guys, that was Leviticus. We think we went through 3 or 4 chapters today. We're on chapter 24 next week. Let me tell you guys when I will be live again, because I think it is tomorrow with Matthew for Decon Q&A with CrystalJae. And if you guys have not met Matthew Discusses Beliefs, he is brilliant. He is brilliant. He is calm. He's just amazing. And I really would love a lot of you to come and meet him. So if you're available, I will be live here. Oh, actually, I will be live early tomorrow. And I never go live this early. I'll be live at 8 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So if you can, don't you love Matthew? Like, he's great. And then on Friday, Schley and I will be live at 10 a.m. And we are going to do conversations with Christians. And our topic is going to be, why does the God of this Bible hate the LGBTQIA but condone slavery? And I'm going to probably say that in a simpler sentence, because that's a big sentence. And I don't know if they can handle all of that. So I might have to shorten that dumb somehow. But I think you get what I'm saying. Why is that the why that doesn't seem right. That just seems like not really a loving God, you know? Slavery, good. LGBTQIA, bad. What? That doesn't seem right to me. Doesn't sit well. So we're going to talk to Christians about that on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So join me tomorrow 8 a.m. And AC, where are you going to be? What are you doing? Are you going live now on your own lives? What are you up to?
I do every now and then. I like to follow you guys around. I slip into Christina's lives every now and then, or you can find me on Black Atheist Rants with
Love bar.
yes, and then I normally also float between me, who is an atheist, but he used to be a Christian,
Yeah.
and Batkalite.
I really like Becklite. I don't get to hear them a lot because a lot of times they're on when I'm doing, like, can't be listening to something I'm editing or whatever, but I really do. I see you guys in there. I see Rav in there and a few others, and always have great discussions in there. But yeah, so make sure you guys are following AC. AC, thank you for coming up and keeping me company today. Thank you guys for all the likes and the shares and the roses and the heart me's. I appreciate you. I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific time with Matthew Discuss.